Okay, moving on to the discussion. Once again, Namaskar to all of you. So, Arun had shared this particular question or topic per se to discuss. He mentioned to me it as why do we why do New Year's resolution often not stick? Why do we fall back into our old patterns? Uh, as far as New Year's resolution or resolutions are concerned, I guess the scientific finding, if I'm not wrong, the scientific finding is 90 or more than 90% of the resolutions stay maximum for 6 months. And thereafter, 6 months is a quite a stretch. You know, you going to have your resolution stay until 6 months is um, uh, quite a feat, so to say. Um, it's like the the story I was discussing it during one of the New Year satsang. It's about the person who is praying to God. It's like, dear Lord, so far this year has been good for me. I haven't gossiped. I haven't lost my temper. I haven't been greedy. I haven't been nasty. I haven't been overindulgent, etc. I'm so thankful to you, God, that so far the year has gone well. But the next few minutes, I definitely need your help because it's going to be very crucial for me because today is January 1st and I'm getting up from my sleep. So that's how long our resolution goes. Uh, why does that happen? I think one, it's human nature. It's like how every physical item tries to uh, drift towards inertia so as to get stability. Similarly, or we move away from entropy, right? That's how we learn it in science, right? Similarly, the mind is such. Mind tries to drift towards inertia. Inertia in the sense, um, not too many things to process consciously. That way, we feel the mind feels rested. Though sometimes when it is too rested, it becomes rusted. REST and RUST. So that's the reason why we need to keep our mind engaged and do things that are meaningful. And that thereby life becomes meaningful. That's the main reason why we think of doing something new or doing something better with as New Year approaches, right? So I feel resolutions, as a matter of fact, don't stick if you really ask me, mainly because of two things. I feel we aren't very clear about why am I taking the resolution, and two, even if I know why, how am I taking the resolution is something that we sometimes are lacking in. We don't plan it well. So why? We should have a clear idea of why am I doing it. Only then our enthusiasm, our focus would remain. And two, once I know I want to do it, I have the enthusiasm to do it. How do I do it? Because if I don't do it the right way, it is going to fizzle out, right? The energy, the enthusiasm is definitely going to abate. So definitely, um, why and how is very important. So I'll share a few points, like four or five points, if I remember it right, that I had shared during the New Year's satsang we had in Washington D.C. This year, a few weeks ago. So I don't think any of you participated in that. Maybe one or two of you were there. So I think it's worth sharing it again. So as long as resolutions are concerned, I was thinking of four or five. Was it four or five Kaiwa? Oh, Kaiwa was also not there. Kaiwa was there. Yeah, Kaiwa was there. So I think it was five, right? Five things. It was be specific, be realistic. Sorry, be positive, be realistic, be specific, be ready. I'm sorry, and be joyous or joyful. These are the five things I was discussing about. So I thought I'll just discuss that briefly here too. So the very first one is be positive. When we take a resolution, when we want to do something, I think the very first point is how and why. We should definitely have an answer for it, and it would be best if we write it down rather than just forgetting about it later. If we can write it down somewhere where we can read it often, on a piece of paper on the fridge, or in the notes on our phone or a computer, so that we could open it every now and then, that would remind why and how. So that's the very first point. Other than that, in terms of implementing it, the 5 points. The very first one would be positive. When you say be positive, it's about self-confidence. And we have discussed about self-confidence, self-confidence versus overconfidence, etc. So we'll not go too much into it. Just to recap what we have discussed earlier, self-confidence, we all need to know, or we all need to remind ourselves and acknowledge that we have the potential to achieve whatever we want. Because Amma always says, all of us have the infinite potential within us. It's just that we sometimes don't recognize it, sometimes we just refuse to recognize it because whatever be the situation that we are in. And when you say we have the potential in us, just think about people who have achieved unthinkable things in their life, feats in their life. We have heard of people losing like 300, 400 pounds. Something it's so difficult to do. Or all the Guinness World Book of Records, or other forms of records that we see, Olympic record, all the what's the term for it? Athletic, all the athletics, all the records that have been set. Literally, it just seems impossible. Every invention, every discovery. Think of Thomas Alva Edison. They say he failed hundreds of trials that he went through, experiments that he did, and he still was very sure of his gut feeling, his ideas, his potential. Only because he lived up to recognizing his potential are we now sitting in front of each other with a light. I have a light in front of me, keeping my face bright. Else I'll have to, we would all still be sitting with a candle in front of us. I don't know whether we would be even online together on Zoom. So only because they truly, really try to tap their potential have we gotten so far. So it definitely isn't just a saying that understand your true potential. All of us have the ability to do whatever we want. It's just whether we are getting to that level to tap our potential is the first point. I'm not talking any further about it. We have discussed about self-confidence in our previous discussions. Just for the one story that I discussed is like a person is passing by the perimeter of a mental asylum, and he sees people doing crazy things as he peeks over the wall as he walks by. And then one person seems completely an outlier. He seemed very normal, very well dressed, very professional just by his looks. And he was quite surprised or quite intrigued by him. So he was getting late for a meeting. So he really wanted to know what the time is. So he just asked, just to strike a conversation with him, he asked that person, could you tell me what's the time? And that person immediately opened his bag, and he seemed like he had a lot of tools in his bag, like a professional engineer. So he takes his carpenter level out, takes a stick, pokes it into the ground, and with the carpenter level, he makes sure the stick is exactly perpendicular to the ground, and then he falls onto the ground, and then he takes a compass and then patiently locates which is exactly the north to the perfect precision, and then takes a steel ruler, and then he measures the precise length of the shadow of the stick, and then he takes his slide rule and starts making all these complicated calculations, and then he tells the person, according to my calculation, it's exactly 3:29 p.m. and 15 seconds. And by the time I give you this response, it would be already 3:29 p.m. and 36 seconds. Or he was like very precise in his answer. And this guy was quite taken aback. This guy seems to be quite even more, sophisticated and intelligent than me. I wonder what is he doing in the mental asylum. Anyway, he thought let him be as he is, and he was about to leave. And then he thought, he did all this. He just asked him, how do you do all these measurements if the sun is not there, or if it is cloudy day or it's a rainy day? He says, oh, in that case, he just puts his hand into his pocket, takes a watch out, and he says, I just look at this watch and I find what the time is. So he always had the watch inside, and he took all the trouble to calculate when he could have just taken his watch out and found out what the time is, right? Similarly, all of us have that watch inside. It's just that we refuse to take that out, and we complicate life otherwise. So that's the very first point. Be confident, or be positive. It's about our confidence. So first one. Second one, we have discussed this before. When we say self-confidence, we also need to be wary of overconfidence. So first one is be positive. The second one is be realistic. It's not just about the potential in us. We should also be realistic of what we are expecting. Understand all the shortcomings we have to. It's not just to understand or recognize and acknowledge our potential. We should also understand and recognize and acknowledge our shortcomings too. And if we just set a resolution which seems very nice, but we can't live up to, we need to be realistic about it. We'll never be able to achieve it. And we'll only get discouraged each time we don't achieve it. So let us be realistic of what I can do, what are my abilities, and accordingly, I will try to set the goal. So so overconfidence is to be aware of our abilities. Self-confidence is to be aware of our abilities. Overconfidence is being unaware of our disabilities. Does that make sense? Self-confidence is being aware of our abilities. Overconfidence is being unaware of our disabilities. So we should be aware of our abilities, and at the same time be aware of our disabilities. And our resolutions should be such that we choose it being aware of what my abilities are and what I can't do. Be realistic about it. So be positive. Second one is be realistic. The third one is be specific. We should be specific on what I'm trying to achieve. In Sanskrit we use the term Lakshya Bodham. We should be very clear of what my goal is. I remember several years ago, I once went up to Amma. I was in my early 20s. I just went up to Amma. I thought Amma will get very impressed. I just went up to Amma and said, I want to fast for 41 days. And I thought Amma would be like, oh, this young guy, he wants to fast for 41 days. She'll be very proud of me. But contrary to my expectations, Amma just started laughing out loud as if I just cracked some joke. And I was also quite taken aback with that reaction. I didn't expect that. And she didn't stop at it. She started announcing it to everyone around, telling this fool says he's going to fast for 41 days. Probably the second point is what I missed. I wasn't being realistic. Maybe I was not capable of doing that. That could be one. But in any case, the response Amma gave me after that on a serious note was, Amma said, Amma would prefer you being healthy and being of use to others than falling sick and being a burden on others. Be healthy and be of use to others rather than falling sick, fasting for 41 days, and then being a burden on others because they have to take care of you. And more specifically, the question Amma asked was, why do you want to fast? Tell me exactly why do you want to fast? I said I would want to grow spiritually. So that's how it is, right? I want to take, when we think of a new resolution, I want to be a better being. I want to be a better person. But that's too vague a goal or an objective, right? So Amma again asked, so what do you mean by growing spiritually? And that conversation went on until she pinned me down exactly to understand why I want to do it. So just having a vague idea that I want to be a better person, I want to grow spiritually, I want to lose weight, I want to be more disciplined. All those are very vague terms. When I say I want to lose weight, there are specific things that we need to do and live up to. When you say I want to be more spiritual or I want to be more disciplined, discipline could mean a lot of things. So rather than just having a general bracket, we should be very specific on what do I exactly want to achieve. Only then there's a chance of even living up to it for some amount of time. So the third one is be very specific on what we want to do. And when you say be specific, I always feel it will be good to have a small goal rather than a big goal. Just a small thing, try to achieve that. And the next year, we'll give it an increment or increment it into a bigger one. The following year, we can make it even bigger. So be specific. And when we say be specific, let it be a small goal is what I feel is most practical in case we are not regularly able to live up to our resolutions. So be positive, be realistic, and be specific. And fourth one, be ready. Be ready basically means we plan a lot of things and we are very enthusiastic about implementing it, but there are situations, circumstances that are going to come wherein things are not going to be under our control. They are not going to go the way we planned or thought it would go like. So we should be prepared for all these situations. Any situation, usually we say, lot of factors are under our own control, and there are so many factors that are beyond our control. Usually in Sanskrit we refer to it, we categorize them into three: adhyatmikam, adhibhautikam, adhidaivikam. Adhyatmikam, referring to your own self, my mood, my thought process, my past history, my past experiences, my preconceived notions. All of those matter when I deal with a situation or when I'm trying to do something. Second one is adi bhautikam, people and things around me, the physical things around me. They do play a role in how I am able to do something or any endeavor that I venture into. Third one is beyond me, beyond the physical things around me, things and people around me. These factors are such that they are not in our control at all. The first one is completely under our control. I can change my mood however I want. I can disregard my past however I want or whenever I want. The second one is people and things around me. It's not completely under my control, but with effort, I can always try to bring them under our control, at least partially bring them under our control. The third one is completely beyond our control. There we need to have the attitude of acceptance. Only then will we be able to succeed in whatever we are trying to do. So be aware of all these three factors that are completely under my control, partially under my control, and completely beyond my control. Be ready for all this. So be ready. And when you say be ready, I just had shared this experience in Washington, D.C. when we discussed. I thought I'll share it with you. It's kind of hilarious experience I had. I once was visiting someone's home. It was a house visit. I was supposed to do a small puja. And I very well remember the lady in the house, a lady of the house, was someone who would always smile and very bubbly in nature. That day when we went to their place, she didn't seem to have that smile at all. And I was wondering, there's something wrong. The very moment I saw her, it felt like something's not right, because she's not like this usually, and she's not very enthusiastic. She's like definitely dejected, not very happy, a little irritated. So I was just trying to find out what's happening. I asked her, how are you doing? And she just gave vague answers. So I asked someone else and they said, one of the persons she hates the most came uninvited to the house. And she's they used to be thick friends before, but then they had some difference of opinion. They are not good friends anymore. And that lady just turned up for the house visit. So she's not happy about it. And she's like, it's very evident on her face that she's not happy about it. Then I thought, okay, I'll try to make her feel better. Somehow bring a smile back on her face. So after the puja was over, she served me some food. They had some simple food. And I thought I'll praise her food. It'll be good, right? So then she'll feel better. She'll that'll bring some smile on her face. So I was looking for what should I praise. Then finally there was quinoa upma she made, and I was trying to be healthy back then. Or even now I try to be like that. But so I thought, why don't I praise the quinoa upma? I kept telling her the quinoa upma is so good, and she didn't like. That didn't make any difference for her. I was like, let me try it once more. I tried it thrice. I kept telling her the quinoa upma is good, the quinoa upma is good, and that didn't make any difference in her at all. And the lady who first told me about why she's not happy, she took me aside and said that quinoa upma was made by the lady she hates the most. So, uh, so I was adding, fuel to the fire. So, you think I'm doing something right the way I want, and maybe it'll make things better, but not all the time these factors are in our control. So be ready for that. So again, first one, be positive. Second, be realistic. Third, be specific. Fourth, be ready. Fifth one is be joyous. Never forget to be joyful. Finally, whether we achieve something or not, whether we are able to live up to the resolution or not, why do we do all this? Is to be happy. So irrespective of that, always try to be happy. And as we try to do things to achieve whatever resolution we have set, we sometimes fail and we sometimes succeed. And as a matter of fact, we succeed more than we fail. But on our natural tendency is to look into how when we fail, though that is much, the percentage of failure is always less in anyone's life. The percentage of failure is always less than the percentage of happiness or the percentage of success. So let's try to focus on all the times that I have succeeded and let's celebrate that. That's how we can stay joyous or joyful. So let's look into all the times we succeed and try to celebrate that. Kind of give yourself a treat. It's like when we train dogs or pets, we give them a treat every time they live up to something, they succeed in doing something, right? Similarly, treat your mind, treat yourself, or give a treat to your mind so that it kind of becomes happy when it achieves something. So I was trying to rush through these points. I know I already took a lot of time. I hope I made sense, though I rushed through these points. In DC, I think the talk was much longer. So once again, summarizing, be positive, be realistic. Third one, very important, be specific. Fourth one, very, very important, be ready. And 5, be joyful, be joyous or joyful. So I just thought if you can keep these in mind and try to pick a resolution based on how and why I'm doing it. Very clear answer on how and why. Maybe we would be able to do better justice to resolutions that we resolve to take. Is that okay?